You know what? I try to psych myself up so much for these videos, but my camera does this thing where, if I leave it sitting there ready to record, it can decide based on my fucking facial expression that it's time to start recording. And then I've got no choice. I just have to jump straight. Just fuck it. Alright, whatever. Just finished episode 4, season 5 of Stranger Things. How fucking cool was that? Very cool. Alright, what do we talk about today? Stutter. Stutter in playing super fast shred runs and how to overcome it. I struggle massively with stutter. Fumbling needlessly at different points where I'll go into a run and I'll be like, fuck, and I'll sit there and do that 20 times in a row. And it's been a source of massive frustration for me in trying to play these super fast shred runs. Also, I'm not a guitar instructor. There's plenty of guitar instructors on YouTube that have way more credibility than I do, and who are bona fide shredders. I come to you as a student, not a master. I'm still very much practicing this stuff. And trying to get it under my fingers, and I probably will until I die. But yes, this is something very interesting that I've happened across, which definitely makes this aspect of playing fast runs a lot easier for me. So the way you have to think about it in terms of momentum, in that a lot of these runs, they don't really work. The super fast techniques, they don't really work, or they work best once you've built up momentum and you're actually traveling at velocity through the run. And at the very start, when you play those first few notes of the run, if you try to do that at speed, well, what you're relying on is you're relying on your hands being perfectly in sync. And what actually tends to pull your hands into sync is playing through the run at velocity. So if those first few notes, if they're not actually perfect, like picture perfect, the run can fall apart right there. And I was playing this Paul Gilbert alternate picking run that goes like this. Like that. I'll try and play it at speed for you. It's like 134 beat. I'm Not Afraid of the Police by Paul Gilbert. It's a great tune. That wasn't bad. But I've been playing that run, I've been practicing that run on and off, honestly, for about 10 years. It was one of my favourite Paul Gilbert tracks when I was in high school, which was more than 10 years ago. And most of my time playing that run has sounded like this. Beautiful. Beethoven is not art such as this. But, to use another example, there's this Ingve run from... fucked it up there at low tempo, but you get the idea. What's it called? I'm a Viking. Banger of a fucking track. And this this economy picked run. Absolute bane of my existence for not quite as long, about half as long as that Paul Gilbert lick. And similar story. Can't get it off the fucking ground. Occasionally able to get it straight off the ground and then straight through the whole thing seamlessly, occasionally. So what do you do? What is actually a remedy to this? Well, it started with examining more closely the way that this run in particular we'll talk about, examining more closely the way that Ingve actually plays it, because he plays it with a slight rubato effect. I'm not actually a theory guy, but I am led to believe that rubato is not a vegetable. No, it's a term that means with a time field that kind of wavers or goes back and forth. So if you listen to him play that run, the first few notes are actually slightly slower. Very slightly. It starts slightly slower and then the speed ramps up. So he doesn't just go... He goes... told you I'm still practicing. He starts it off slightly slower and allows himself a chance to get his hands in sync before he actually dives right into the run. I noticed this as well on a line I was learning more recently from another banger of Ingve's called You Don't Remember, I'll Never Forget. You broke my heart in just to see you. You see that? You know, the really shreddy bits towards the end of the run, he starts off with this slow, diminished thing. By the time he gets to the super shreddy bit of that run, his hands are already well in sync. It's a little bit of a cheat code. I'll try that one more time. I'm not going to do that to you again. Another way that you can sort of do it is to start it. You can go from the main tempo from the very first notes, but you can just make those first few notes something that's naturally a little bit easier to sync, like a trill. So there's this run in Far Beyond the Sun. Crucially, I've heard it in a couple of live recordings where he plays, obviously with the bench. But then he does these couple of little sort of playful notes at the start. And what he's doing there, if you think about it, those first few notes, in the context of the lick, do they serve a musical purpose? I mean, not really. Not really. But from a technical standpoint, those couple of little notes at the start, if anything, they're probably just enabling him to get his hand sync under his fingers before he actually goes into the economy run. I've heard him do that on a couple of live versions of that song, and I think that that's why he does it. And I've sort of expanded that a little bit into thinking, if you're playing a lick and you're struggling with stuttering, because performance anxiety can come into it a little bit as well, where you're sitting there thinking about how the lick is going to erupt, and you're anticipating, especially if you're playing whatever guitar part comes immediately before the lick. So I was playing this that lick from I Am a Viking and going through, which I don't think I played correctly, but anyway. And it's like the whole time I'm playing that, I'm thinking about how much I'm going to fucking hate when I get to that part and I fuck it up. And the overthinking it makes me fuck it up. Right? So instead of playing the part that immediately precedes the lick, if you're really woodshedding, if you're really trying to get something difficult down, what might actually be helpful will be to try to weave that run into something that you'd already be sort of noodling anyway, rather than building it up in your mind. So instead of sitting there fucking sweating and questioning what you're doing with your life, trying to nail this fucking economy run, just do what's fun, which is to noodle and just forget about everything. Your hands are already in sync. You know, you don't know exactly when you're going to break into the run, so you can't anticipate it, so you can't overthink it. And maybe, just maybe, it'll help you get through some of the frustration, some of the mental barrier that's there, because I definitely struggle with the mental barrier when it comes to actually being able to rip out the stuff that I practice, right? So, again, coming to you as a student, not a master. as a humble guitarist, playing in his home office. Something that I've found helpful lately, and I hope you get value from it. I'm going to try one more time to nail that thing I was playing. I told you I wasn't going to subject you to it again. I've betrayed your trust. It will not be the last time. Anyway, more practice for me.